Thought I'd take a minute and talk about the comparison between the Warn 16.5 Ti versus the M15000. Now, first off, this is an M12000, but it's an M15000. The only difference between the M12 and the M15 is the first and the second stage of planetary gears. That is the only difference between these two winches. You pop this end cover off and get on the Warn website, look at the parts numbers. It's the same end housing. The third stage planetary is the same. All you got to do is swap two gear trains, and it is a M15000. They have the same motor from the factory, which is a 4.6 horsepower motor, same as the 16.5 Ti, which is also a 4.6 horsepower motor. So, some talking points. I should have wrote them down because I'll forget here, but I just see online people talking about how expensive these are, and they're almost made out of unobtainium. And a good, even better to me, solution to that is the M15000 has a 315-to-1 gear ratio in it, which is exactly the same gear ratio as the 16.5 Ti has. The 16.5 and the M15000 will pull the same amount of weight. The reason that Warn uprated the 16.5 to 16.5 is because the only gears that are different in it was the same gear ratio. They're both 315-to-1. The only difference is the third set of planetaries. So the one closest in here has an extra backing plate welded to it to stiffen it up, and then they had to widen the ring gear here to make room for it all to fit and bolt up. So this is about $3,000, and you can pick up these M12000s for a song. Like this one was $150 in working condition. You can pick up the M15 pretty reasonable as well. For $200, if you buy like this one here, you buy this for $150. For $200 more, I made this an M15, and then to take them even further than that, I put the 9.5 XP 6 horsepower motor on it. So there's one on this pickup truck right here. That's got the 9.5 XP motor on it. It's an M15000 with a 9.5 XP motor on it. And if you're going off of the 6 horsepower rating versus the 4.6, and of course we're trusting that it's actually pulling 6 horsepower, and we're trusting that these others are actually pulling 4.6 horsepower. So the math on that takes that winch to about 19,000 something. And then more importantly to me, because 15,000 is plenty of pulling power straight line, more importantly to me is line speed. So a 16.5 Ti line speed is like 22 feet per minute, I believe is what the spec is. So a M15000 with a 6 horsepower motor is pulling 28 feet per second. I've actually tested it, timed it, 28 feet per second. None of that, this information is not out there. That's why I'm putting it out there, because I'd have loved to have known that myself. So you buy an M12000 for a song or an M15, put a 6 horsepower motor on it, and it will pull the guts out of a 16.5 Ti. The only advantage left in the 16.5 has is it's got an Albright contactor in it, which doesn't mean much to me at all, because this old set of solenoids right here, Warn 8274s ran those things forever without hardly ever having any problems. I haven't had any problems out of mine. And the other thing is the 16.5 has sealed O-rings in the drum housing to keep water out. It's not a big deal to me, because honestly, water seems to get in these things no matter what, and I'd rather they had a way to let it back out. So I probably forgot a couple of things I wanted to say, but they have the same drum diameter, same gear set in them, same motor ratings from the factory, 4.6, 4.6. Your money ahead, big money. If you don't have to have the sticker to show your buddies that says it's a 16.5 Ti and it's the biggest, baddest 12-volt winch you can buy from Warn, then you just are worried about performance, then you buy a 12 or a 15, and either upgrade to 12 gear set for a couple $100 and get a motor. you will be in one of these way far less than you will be buying a 16.5 TI. Even on the used market, these 16.5s are still really expensive. So, you know, if you're going to run synthetic, which I like running synthetic, that's what I run. That's what that truck out there's got on it. The downside is if I showed you mine out there, if I spooled it all out down to the drum where I've really done some, you know, pulling a trailer that's stuck in a ditch in the snow, pulled a trailer with a Bobcat out. So I'm creating a lot of heat on the brake. It did, you know, they have a sheath over the rope, and it did at the drum melt that sheath. The drum got so hot. But other than that, the synthetic's the way to go. As you already know, abrasion resistance is not great, so you got to be more careful than what you do with the steel. But the pros outweigh the cons by far. And anyways, I just want to put that out there. Maybe that'll help somebody. Montana Jacks is where I get the parts from. He's awesome to work for. The guy's a winch guru. He knows everything about him. He's a repair center and a parts supplier. And the guy is a wealth of knowledge. I'm sure he's gotten over years and years of experience. So I hope that helps somebody.